Now, usually, pag tumatayo yung building natin, what we usually do is, we put the rebars, okay, steel bars, then we follow the spacing, masinsin, tapos pagdating sa taas, closer na naman, okay, before the forms. Okay, and then this is our proposed second floor. Now, what we usually do is, when we pour the concrete, we leave it somewhere here. Tama ba? Binubuhusan natin about, if this is the bottom, or the beam bottom, usually nasa mga 300 to 500 mm. Binubuhusan natin ito. You remember that in our practice? Then, we make this as our construction joint. So when you say construction joint, it is the termination of the pouring of the concrete in preparation for the next pouring of the concrete the following day or the next pouring. Now what happens here? Okay, what happens here if it is a horizontal termination? Lumalabas yung bakal, sabihin ni engineer, sige, puputulin natin dyan. Then the next day, buhos ulit. Now, this practice is only acceptable when there is a mild earthquake. The reason being is, when we continue the pouring here, so bago na naman yung concrete na yan, okay, so this is now the construction joint. There is now a separation here. This is now a weak plane. Dahil hindi monolithic. But in the design, we designed the structure to be monolithically poured. Ibig sabihin, walang putol. Now, how would you do that? Usually, the best thing to do is, if you cannot avoid cutting or putting your construction joint here, is you put epoxy, concrete epoxy, in order to create continuity. Because if it is open, you are creating a hinge, which is absorbing all possible movement. So it's like this one. So imagine nyo, itong pentel pen, both ends, pinagsama natin, hindi siya monolithically poured. So whatever form of stress, whether it is bending moment, yung nag-rotate dyan, you're actually defining a location of failure. Yun. Or if there is so much shear, so you are now opening that point as the location of your failure. So yan yung generator ng horizontal cracks. So you will see that somewhere here at 1/4. Usually, nangyayari yan when there is a construction joint, and you will see that this is defined by a horizontal crack. Mapapansin niyo, as in many other inspections na gagawin niyo later in the coming days, in the coming weeks, you will notice that this will be uniform in location. So example, if there is a construction joint there, tuloy-tuloy yan, lahat doon pag nag-crack, pag lumindol. And you will see, etong mga high-rise condos dito, nandun yung location ng mga cracks. Okay, I don't need to mention, you just look at the social media, makita nyo yung consistent location of these horizontal cracks. So okay ba yun? So ito yung nakita natin, horizontal cracks. Makikita nyo yun. Now, does this mean to say that the building is in danger? No, not yet. That is the first manifestation of a damage. Now, minsan, meron din dito. Now, especially if you are in the third floor. Pero, bihira, meron crack sa baba na horizontal. It's always on the construction joint. Meron siya yung horizontal crack. Okay, next one. Diagonal cracks. So this is now increasing in intensity or level of damage. Yung kanina, horizontal cracks. The next one is a diagonal crack. So anong yung diagonal cracks dito? You will see the pictures as posted all over the place. All over the place. Now, those crooked lines are again when the columns are really very small. Small siya or slender. But usually, yung pinaka-common na reason ng horizontal cracks on the top are construction joints or the termination of the pouring. So kung meron kayong gagawin na building, please, no? So change this practice. If you will terminate your pouring, because this is really a good practice, madali sa methodology, but make sure it is clean and with epoxy to provide continuity between the old concrete and the new concrete. So we have now the technology and daming available epoxy in the market that will connect the old and the new concrete. And the epoxy is always stronger than the concrete. Yung available in the market, 10,000 PSI. The concrete is only ranging between 3,000 to 4,500 PSI in compressive strength. So use epoxy pag nag-construction joint kayo. It's only a film coating that location. So binubuhos mo lang yan, no? Rather than, ngayon ang nangyayari, for those who are retrofitting the structure and there is this cracking here, ang ginagawa, which is really more expensive, is to inject epoxy to create continuity pag hindi pa siya nag-explode. Okay, so what's the next part, which is diagonal cracks. Pasok tayo sa diagonal cracks. How do you see these diagonal cracks? Okay, so I'm so happy that we are not only engineers here, we have educators, we have from the academy, and we have some friends from the architects. Okay, so the team is here. Okay, salamat, team to. And I've seen Architect Morales, Alvin, nasa siya kanina. Ayun, okay, my friend. Okay, so happy, no, because we're all in this together in assessing structures. Okay, itong diagonal cracks. Ano itong diagonal cracks? So if this is now if this is now the column, sinasabi natin tinamaan, usually nauna yung horizontal cracks before there is a diagonal crack. When the earthquake is already very strong, okay, and if there is a construction joint here, because of the constant rocking and swaying of the building, etong portion dito on the lower part will be damaged. So ma-open yan siya, and then before it opens, it creates first some sort of diagonal cracking there. Makikita mo yun. And when the earthquake is so strong, this will explode. This will go out. So ito yung mga telltale signs, diagonal cracks. If there is a horizontal crack due to construction joints. Pag walang construction joints, ganun pa rin mangyayari. Okay? If it is overstressed. Now, the reason is, kahit na walang construction joint or kahit nag-epoxy, if it is now a design issue, magkakaroon ka ng series of diagonal cracks due to shear. Ibig sabihin, pag tinulak mo yung building doon, the lower part of the building will resist the push because the columns are embedded on the ground. But because of inertia, the higher floor or the upper floor will be pushed laterally, and there is a separation between the two. So pag tinulak mo yun, tulak mo sa dito, and if there is a little quantity of stirrups there, magka-crack yung concrete. So, ang nagtatrabaho talaga dyan is the resistance between the concrete and the stirrups. Now, majority of the buildings that we have seen do not have what we call this required seismic detailing. And the seismic detailing, ibig sabihin that within this 1/4 of the height, your stirrups are expected to be uniform. Like for example, ano ba ang common height ng story structure or a story? 3. So 3 divided by 4.
75.
Mental math. 0.75. Okay? At 0.75, it is expected that the stirrups are uniform. Yun yung tinatawag natin seismic detailing. Meaning, if you have 10 mm bars as stirrups, your spacing of the 0.75, the first 0.75 from the bottom up to somewhere here, should be uniform yung spacing. And the uniformity of the spacing is averaging within 50 mm to about 100 mm. So malalaman natin, if it is seismically detailed properly, this will not explode. Hindi siya magkakaroon ng diagonal cracks. Okay ba yun? Is that something new? Or is that something helpful? Helpful. Okay, so iba, alam na ninyo to. Pero for assessment purposes, sinasabi ko lang yung reason bakit may diagonal cracks. Meaning the spacing of the stirrups are lacking. They are farly spaced. Ang layo ng spacing niya. So this is diagonal cracks. Yung X cracks or cross cracks. Okay? Ang propagation niya, the initial damage, una, ganun muna. But when there is a longer period of vibration, meaning the structure rocks back and forth, magkakaroon yan ng reverse cracks. Okay, so that is now more intense in levels of damage. So ito yung sinasabi natin na pag nakita niyo yung diagonal cracks niya, the next thing that will happen is, again, pag meron ka ng triangle nangyari niyan, if there is another earthquake or a strong aftershock, this portion here will explode. Okay, so when I inspected the infamous Corgeso College, so I was so saddened because majority of the cracks are shear cracks generated by cross cracks. So, ito ngayon yung makikita natin. Okay, after the X cracks, you look at your form, andyan yung exposed rebars. So, ibig sabihin, nawala na yung strength. Matatanggal na to, tatanggal na yan, and the rebars are already exposed. So, makita niyo yung progression from horizontal cracks to diagonal cracks, to cross cracks, then exposed rebars, and when the rebars are exposed, what happens is because of the vertical loads and the swaying, magbabackle na yung structure natin. So ito yung buckled rebars. So when you inspect the upper 1/4 of the height within the lower 1/4 of the height, and then check whether you see horizontal crack, diagonal cracks, X cracks, exposed bars, and buckled bars. Now for all or many of the structures, karamihan present itong exposed bars and buckled bars together. Yung iba naman, X cracks, diagonal, and horizontal cracks. So, okay ba ito? So you can check all of this at the same time and you put how many columns are manifesting these kinds of cracks. So far, may question before I proceed to the next portion, which is beams? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yung sa horizontal cracks, diagonal cracks, at X cracks, kailangan pag-check po kailangan buong sides lang or one side lang.
Very good question. Kailangan ba all sides? You only need to look at one side. One side lang talaga because earthquake push the building back and forth. So kung alin yung pinaka-dominant na push ng building, which is the initial push of the building, yung opposite niya ang mag-create ng crack na yun. When it goes back, then the crack will happen on the other side until all the faces of the beams will be exposed. So kahit isang side lang. Okay? Okay. So question. Baka daw plaster lang. Okay, ito yun. Titignan nyo yun siya. Paano natin malalaman kung plaster lang with the absence of yung tinatawag natin sa testing na we use the crack depth meter using ultrasonic pulse wave. So yung titignan lang muna natin yung section sa taas. Okay? So kunyari ito yung core. That is your pouring and this is your plaster. So pag nakita natin na yung crack natin is nandito lang, titignan mo dito na side, umiikot lang siya ganyan, most likely it's plaster. But when the cracks loops around, so ibig sabihin yung crack mo, pumasok siya rin 1/2 of that. So tingnan mo at least 3 faces of the column. Titingnan mo kung umikot. And most likely, kapag hindi siya umikot, okay lang yun. Because you don't know really how thick is the plaster. Now, if you really want to be very, very sure, then it is very good to carry with you a small ikot, just like a miner's tool. Kanang gamay na martilyo and gamay na sa tawag na tigil or kanang tiltil. Yun, sa Bisaya, tiltil. So, if the clusters are too thick. And I think we have seen in Padada Police Station, makikita ka ng laki ng column na ginawang CHP yung ano. So, I think it will answer your question na kung alanganin talaga na lang siya, baka plaster lang, you just remove it. Especially, of course, when you are hired by the owner of the building. Okay ba yun? Okay. Sige. So, tapos na tayo sa columns. Are there any questions dun sa columns?
Just a clarification regarding those construction.
For the benefit of everyone,
Sir, good morning to everyone. Gusto ko lang i-clarify yung sa construction joint, sir, yung 300 to 500 meters. Sorry, 300 to 500 centimeters. Kasi usually sa practice ko, nandun ako sa almost 1 meter. Kasi alam ko, from the Ilocan to siguro mga distance 500, medyo mas stressful siya compared dito sa lower. So ano solution mo siya na kung may iwasan, kung hindi may iwasan, mag-focus na lang.
okay. Very good observation. Let's be scientific. The question is, meron na nag-practice na if this is about 3 meters, sabi niya, ang construction joint is here. Actually, that is a good practice para lesser yung tinatawag nating bending moment. Okay, if you notice that when the building is pushed in that direction, so this one is going to be compression and this is going to be tension. So it's going to be, there is a lesser stress at the middle. Okay, so pwede talaga yung putulin. Okay, now assuming that your spacing of the bars are properly done, then you can, again, you can put the, what you call that, you can put the construction joint here. Pwede yun. But sometimes, design or the building is not only as good as their design, it is also as good as their construction execution. Kasi minsan maganda sa drawing, pero pagdating sa actual, yun talaga ang problema eh. So, I suggest, wherever you cut your construction joint or relocate your construction joint, put epoxy. Hindi naman masyadong mahal yun. You just compute the surface area in about 2 or 3 mm thick.